Jag vill hälsa er välkomna allihopa hit idag. Upprinnelsen till det här mötet är ett projekt som heter Swedish Intech som vi från programmet PIA kör tillsammans med Automation Region och med då organisationerna RISE, Mälardalens universitet i finansiering från Vinnova. Vi jobbar med Nordic Innovation House Silicon Valley och idag jobbar vi också med GTI, Sweden US Green Transition Initiative, som vi är jätteglada över att få jobba tillsammans med. Och sen så förstås alla ni som förhoppningsvis ska ha nytta av mötet då, som ser en chans att öka kanske insatserna på den amerikanska marknaden eller bara komma igång med dem eller förstå mer om hur man kan tänka där framåt, och där har vi kompetens på plats som kommer guida oss dit. Men jag ska börja lite med att prata om vad vi gör i det här projektet Swedish Intech. Så Intech tänker vi hela den teknologisektorn som gör industrin smart. Så mycket av de här kompetenserna som vi nu hörde från Fredrik här är precis förstås det som många bolag behöver för att komma vidare med sin digitalisering. Och vi vill förstås också gärna bidra till detta med Twin Transition, att vi tänker både digital och grön omställning förstås i det här och över landsgränserna. Så ett fokus för oss här är samarbeten mellan Sverige och USA, Silicon Valley, stort fokus där, men också med Kanada där vi har många gemensamma marknader, och i tredje hand också med några utvalda länder i Europa. Och vi har ju lite olika förutsättningar att jobba med de här olika marknaderna, men idag har vi fokus på USA som är toppen, och nu när vi har Green Transition Initiative på plats ordentligt också med rejält med resurser i USA. Här har vi Linda och Michael idag, toppen. Mitt namn är Malin Rosqvist, jag jobbar för det strategiska innovationsprogrammet PIA, process, industriell IT och automation. Jag har också med mig några kollegor här idag som vi kommer höra mera från senare. Vi har Automation Region på plats, som sagt ett kluster som bor hos Mälardalens universitet. Och det här är ett samarbete vi gör i det här projektet. Och vad är då poängen med projektet, kan man undra. Meningen med föreningen är att vi vill öka samarbetet på många olika sätt. Så en sak är mobilitet och utbyte av expertis mellan våra länder. Men förstås också att skapa, bygga, vidareutveckla relationer, kontakter som kan användas av många. Så jag tänker nu alla nu som lär sig någonting nytt idag, dela med er av den möjligheten som finns genom projektet och genom GTI att komma till den amerikanska marknaden. Och vi vill förstås gärna se resultat i form av samarbetsprojekt, forskningssamarbeten, men också förstås i konkreta affärer där vi hoppas kunna hjälpa till. Och där är förstås också Business Sweden en viktig aktör framåt. Eftersom vi jobbar med er i GTI idag och förhoppningsvis i ytterligare aktiviteter framöver, vill jag gärna säga någonting om PIA. PIA är då ett av 17 strategiska innovationsprogram i Sverige. Och vi ser att vår portfölj som idag omfattar 300 projekt. Det är närmare värt 1 miljard kronor, och vi har haft ungefär 800 olika organisationer inblandade i våra projekt. Så det är ju en hyfsad volym. Det vi gör nu är att analysera vår portfölj på de gröna värdena mer och mer. Så dels har vi ett projekt som vi kallar Trace for Value. Traceability for Sustainable Value Chains, där vi har 65 aktörer och 6 strategiska innovationsprogram som tillsammans jobbar med Delegationen för cirkulär ekonomi och Vinnova för att se hur vi kan bidra till omställningen och cirkulär ekonomi genom spårbarhetslösningar över många olika branscher. Vi har allt från bygg till textil tillbaka till metall och så vidare. Men det är en helt separat historia. Sen så har vi en stor insats genom Internationella energimyndigheten som har en plattform som heter IETS, Industrial Energy Related Technologies and Systems, där vi har en aktivitet som min kollega Mersad kommer att prata mer om en liten stund. Och där försöker vi genom de här 2 initiativen och med GTI kanalisera ut best practice lösningar, teknologi från projektportföljen till marknaden och till andra marknader här och långt bortanför den svenska ytan som vi har. Och idag förstås då Michael, nu förekommer en liten smula här, men GTIs intention om att lansera System Pilots är någonting som vi väldigt gärna vill bidra till. Goda exempel som vi hittar i vår portfölj som vi gärna ser att ni och andra aktörer kan ta vidare till andra marknader. Det är ju liksom en fantastisk överlämning som vi hoppas kunna bidra till. Där vi har börjat lite grann. Kort om agendan idag. Nu har jag förbrukat mina 5 minuter. Vi kommer gå över till Linda Andrén som kör GTI från USA, och Michael kommer också prata lite mera om era aktiviteter. Sen kommer min kollega Mersad att prata just om det vi gör från Pias sida inom IETS. Därefter får vi höra ett av våra fantastiska exempel med Peter Christiansen från Liquid Wind. Och sen ska jag försöka summera vad vi har kommit fram till. Så att ungefär där tänker jag att jag lämnar över till Linda, om du känner dig redo.
Det gör jag. Sen tänker jag, när jag går över, så jag kommer visa lite bilder. Så om det är någon som skriver i chatten att jag behöver byta till engelska, om det är någon ansluter någon, så får ni gärna hojta till. Jätteroligt att vi får chansen att presentera här tillsammans med er. Och som sagt, jag har förberett lite slides. Hoppas att de inte ska vara alltför... jag hoppas att det blir bra. Och ska vi se bara om jag får upp dem. Jag är en Teams-människa, jag är inte en Zoom-människa. Så ska vi se. Okay, så här, vi har satt en grön skog som bakgrundsbildar, men det är egentligen för att förtydliga att vi har ett grönt fokus. Vi är som en grön lins på liksom, de aktiviteter vi gör. Så det pågår ju jättemycket mellan Sverige och USA, förutom det vi gör såklart. Men det vi gör är bara kring det gröna. Och det är 4 organisationer som har initierat Sweden US Green Transition Initiative. Och det är ambassaden här i Washington DC, det är Vinnova och det är Sveriges energimyndighet och det är Business Sweden. Och tanken här är ju att vi dels ska kunna använda deras starka nätverk som finns på marknaden redan. Malin, du nämnde Business Sweden, och Business Sweden har ju också aktiviteter där borta. Så att vi gör inte allt det som de gör, utan emellanåt kan det bli att om det finns intresse för att bredda på den amerikanska marknaden, så kan det vara Business Sweden som är mer lämplig än vad vi är. Men vi kan vara en one point of contact, så man kan alltid börja hos oss. Och så kan vi ta hjälp av de här andra organisationerna som finns. Och Vinnova till exempel, som finns på Nordic Innovation House med liksom fantastiskt avtryck borta i Silicon Valley. Så vi samarbetar med de olika aktörerna. Och det är, om man tittar på våra objectives, varför de här 4 myndighetsorganisationerna satt upp Sweden US Green Transition Initiative, så är det ju dels för att det började blåsa lite andra vindar här borta i USA. Inflation Reduction Act hade inte kommit när man bestämde sig för etableringsinitiativet, men det kom ju sen. Och sen att vi ligger långt fram, både inom digitalisering och innovation, men också inom hållbarhet. Och för att knyta an till det som nämndes tidigare kring data, så data tycker jag är en väldigt viktig del i hållbarhet och i omställning. Både utifrån att man kan förändra sina processer, men också att man har koll på sin data och att man faktiskt mäter och gör rätt. Sen om man hoppar vidare till våra objectives, så är det övergripande är förstås att bidra till att minska de utsläppen av farliga gaser som påverkar klimatet. Och att göra det både i USA och i Sverige. Och att vi ska bidra till att, det är svårt när man har skrivit slidesen på engelska, the adoption of Swedish technologies. Alltså hjälpa till att främja svenska teknologiska lösningar på den amerikanska marknaden. Och sen också att den andra vägen att titta på investering in i Sverige, det är också ett av våra objektiv. Men objektiv nummer 3, som är att skapa en stark plattform, det är faktiskt att bidra till ökat samarbete mellan de 4 grundande organisationerna, men också det utökade svenska nätverket som till exempel RISE är en del utav. Och att använda de styrkorna vi har i Sverige för grön omställning och också för ökad export. Så det är det som vi försöker göra. Och en av de sakerna vi gör är ju det som vi kommer att prata mer om, systempiloter. Men det andra är också verkligen att fördjupa forskningssamarbeten inom den gröna omställningen. Så det är egentligen 2 stycken pelare där vi ser att systempiloterna kan vara en väldigt viktig motor. Det vi idag har fokus på är ju industri, men vi jobbar också inom elektromobilitet, förnyelsebar energi och smarta gröna byggnader. Så det är 4 tematiska områden som vi har i fokus. Så nu är jag in en bild här på teamet. Michael får ni se live, men vi har också, jag såg Johanna var med i mötet. Och sen har vi Marcus som sitter borta i Palo Alto. Så vi har 3 personer som är fulltidsanställda här i Washington DC och 1 person i Palo Alto. Och sen har vi en fantastisk trainee som heter Victoria som är kvar hos oss en månad till. Och systempiloter, Michael ska prata mer om det så jag ska inte gå in på djupet liksom vad det skulle kunna vara. Men det som det syftar till är att bidra till grön omställning genom att skapa positiva berättelser för att visa att de lösningarna, när man lägger ihop dem i ett pussel, att vi kan göra en omställning som faktiskt blir konkret och att man kan mäta både resultatet kring utsläppen men också kring kanske ljudnivåer och andra positiva aspekter för invånarna till exempel i en stad eller runt en industri. Och genom det så kan vi också avmystifiera grön omställning. Så att vi får mer förändring och beteendeaspekter i det hela också. En systempilot då är liksom det sättet som vi hoppas kunna få som en grön motor i det vi jobbar med. Och jag pratade lite om ett pussel och det är att vi jobbar inte liksom med enskilda bolagslösningar. Då kommer vi i så fall förmedla kontakten till exempel till Business Sweden. Utan här handlar det om att täcka bredare i värdekedjan. Just att det finns mycket beroende av varandra i att nå en grön omställning. Så det är en paketering av ett pussel och det är värdeerbjudandet är det vi vill presentera för de olika utmaningar som kan finnas då i grön omställning här borta. Så just systempiloterna riktar sig till lösningar som är kommersiellt redo. Så att det här är inte forskningsspåret utan det här är liksom att skapa en positiva riktningsförändringar och berättelser som både en stad eller en industri kan ha nytta av, men självklart också företagen som är med på systempiloten. Och det bidrar också till Sverige bild som land, som både inom innovation och inom hållbarhet. Så det är egentligen det som jag tänkte visa. Så lite kort och gott om GTI. Och då lämnar jag över till Michael, eller hur Malin?
Det blir perfekt. Tack så mycket Linda för den introduktionen. Och välkommen då Michael.
Okej, ja. Tack så mycket. Jag försöker dela skärm också.
Det är alltid det svåraste.
Precis. Ser ni skärmen?
Det ser ut som en bra start. Ska vi se om vi får ett helskärmsläge.
Nu. Nu ser det. Förhoppningsvis.
Nu.
Lyckades. Okej. Tack så jättemycket. Det känns fantastiskt att vara med. I think I'll switch to English. I have a lot of slides. It will probably go a lot faster if I take the English language, although of course I speak Swedish. I am new to the team. I'm working with for Linda and in her group, and I'm focusing on the industry sector, one of the 4 focus areas that we have. I come from RISE. I worked at RISE for 20 years in Sweden and now have come to DC to help Linda with the grön omställning och samarbete mellan USA och Sverige. And here quickly, I wanted to just, coming in new to the team, I wanted to do a little bit of a sort of a background study of where Sweden and the US stood in terms of energy use in the industry sector. So I did a little searching around on the available information from Energimyndigheten and the similar organizations in the US. So I'm going to give a quick industry snapshot of the energy situation in the US and Sweden, and then look at how we prioritize and classify industry, because industry in a sense applies to everything. I mean, every product that is produced is manufactured in some way. If you exclude services and the government sector, the industry sector applies to many different areas. So prioritizing them in our group was a big factor. And then, of course, it was mentioned that the funding programs have created sort of a sea change over here in the US. A lot of opportunities for US companies, but also Swedish companies to take part in those funding programs. USA is a big place. I thought I'd go into the geography and then quickly give a discussion of where Sweden is working in innovation area, partly through the PIA innovation program, but also many of the other programs that are existing. So quickly, quick snapshot, and I'm going to go quickly over this. I know, but basically to compare the energy supply for Sweden, we use about a 40th of the energy of the US, which so the US uses 40 times the amount of energy that Sweden uses. We have surprisingly 44% of our total supply is fossil fuels. However, we bunker and export a lot of that. So if you exclude that, about 25% of our energy supply is carbon-based, and that's quite a bit different in the United States. Industry consumes the total energy supply 18% and buildings 19%. So these are some of the reasons why we're focusing in these areas, as those are the most, say, carbon dioxide emitting parts of the economy. And just a quick look at the greenness of the Swedish industry supply. We in Sweden use biofuels for about half of our energy source. So fossil fuels supply less than 25% of the end-use industries, so less than 25%. A different picture over here in the United States. So the US is 40 times the energy usage. Interesting, we're in Sweden 37 times the GDP. So our GDP is higher in proportion to our energy usage. So I guess in a sense, we're more effective with our energy than the United States. But anyway, 40 times the energy supply. But as you see there, carbon-based energy is 75% of the total supply, and that in the industry is about 26%, and buildings 21%. And the cold fact at the bottom is you see that renewables are 9% and fossil fuels greater than 85% of the U.S. energy use mix. So this is a challenge that the U.S. is looking to try to address with the latest legislations and changes over here. And I'm not going to go into detail on these pictures, but this was a way to prioritize the largest industries in Sweden and the US. And just to summarize, you see the table at the bottom right there. They track fairly well in terms of what's important in terms of export from Sweden and what's important from a GDP perspective in the United States. In other words, machinery is a little more important. Electric machines, for example, ABB and other companies that produce machines and export them. That's a very important industry for Sweden. It's a little lower down on the scale for the US. However, two of the top industries in the US are petroleum and oil and gas extraction. So if you remove those, that machinery is number 4. Chemical and pharmaceuticals, number 2, in both countries. Automotive industry, important to both countries, top 3 in both US and Sweden. And then you have the other 3 at the bottom. Paper, pulp, and forestry is really important to Sweden, number 4, if you combine wood products with that. And then you have electrical equipment, appliance components, and steels, metals, and mining. So here's sort of a breakout of how we classify industry and in terms of export and GDP, which gives a sort of a signal as to where we can, I say, get the biggest bang for our buck if we try to make those industries greener. Now, just a quick view of what's happening in terms of what was mentioned with the funding over here. There's a huge funding program called, actually 3 of them. One is called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. The other one is the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act. And you see the focuses there listed out there. This is from a report from McKinsey and Company that shows that batteries, renewables, clean electricity, carbon, nuclear, transportation, hydrogen is listed. So all of this money is very much focused on the green transition in the United States. And then to complement that, there's another act called the Chips and Science Act, which is focused more on semiconductors, but also a lot of that is towards science and education, of course, manufacturing of semiconductors. And also, I guess combined, it's about over 500 billion US dollars. So that's what, 5 times 10 in kroner. So that's 5 trillion kroner over a 10-year period. So it's a very large investment. I will say, of course, that there's an election coming up in two years, and I just heard recently that is a warning signal. Of course, if there's a change in the government in the US, everything could change. But that's the plan right now. Now, you could ask, does it make things happen, this money in the United States? And the answer is yes. Just take a look at the CHIPS Act in action here. I mean, just since the announcement of the CHIPS Act, there's been over 50 new investments announced in the United States. Again, I focus on semiconductors. It's not totally relevant to the sustainability side, but just an example that over here, money does talk, and money does make federal money makes private and individual states activate funding as well to scale that up considerably. So it's happening all over the United States. These are new production facilities announced from that funding. So where's the money going in this 500 billion US dollars? It's funneling through all the departments and the myndigheter in the US, from Department of that should say Department of, not transportation. Anyway, that's the department that Department of Treasury. Sorry, that's what the first one is, the Department of Treasury. And that's because many of these fundings are in the form of tax breaks and incentives. So they'll be administered through the Department of Transportation. But you see, there's over 14 different agencies that are receiving this money. But a big agency is Department of Energy. And we work very closely with that department here, together with the embassy that has a lot of connections at the federal level with Department of Energy. And there you see a lot of the programs that are funded there: low carbon fuels, feedstocks, energy sources, energy efficiency, manufacturing technology innovation, and also technologies for industrial emission reduction development. That's an R&D program with everything from hydrogen to nuclear, a huge program in itself, just on funding R&D through the Department of Energy. Then you have the NIST is like, so the Department of Standards and Technologies, through it they have a manufacturing extension partnership, which is mostly focused on improving the efficiency of manufacturing. And then also, as I mentioned, the state and regional initiatives. So there's a report done by Business Sweden that shows which states in the United States are really focusing and funneling and prioritizing the sort of green transition. You see there, of course, on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, but also Texas, and then, of course, the East Coast have very much kind of leading the way when it comes to the green transition in the United States. And that's sort of why the GTI team is split between East Coast and West Coast. I also did a little comparison breakdown by the individual industries, from machinery, chemical, pharmaceuticals, automotive, etc., and just looked at the different associations as to where they have their headquarters and where they're very focused. And Ohio in the Midwest, it's called it here, has many industries, from machinery, pharmaceutical, automotive, equipment, as well as steel, metals, and mining. So the Midwest is a priority for me when it comes to looking at industrial partners in the United States. And the same goes for the Southeast, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. And there, surprisingly, there's also a lot of growing automotive industry, and also even a strong forestry industry down in that area. And it maps similar to a study and a map that Business Sweden has done, showing where the industrial centers are in the United States. That's the figure down at the bottom. It's my last slide, so I can just show you how maybe I'm working in a sense, and I'm looking forward to filling out and working together with PIA and Intech, all of the other SIPs related to industry, for example, production 2030, etc., and of course automotive region. So we're listing out in these different areas where does Sweden have strengths and where we're doing very innovative work. And if we just take, for example, machinery area and also, chemical and pharmaceuticals and automotive, there's a project that's focusing on plastic recycling and also using recycled plastic in different industries. It's called the ROPI project. And I'm following that and looking to see if there's an interest to reach out with the consortium there into the United States. So I won't go into this detail. I just want to show you this a little bit of how I'm working, working and reaching out to the different clusters like automotive region, Intech and PIA. And then where in the scheme of funding, IRA and the CHIPS, where are the individual programs that could be interesting, and where are the US clusters and programs that would match to the individual strengths that Sweden has in the different industries. So I'm really happy to be here and hoping that I can work with many of the SIPs to help engage and sort of scale up the programs that are and the consortiums that have been established in Sweden, connected to consortiums over here to implement what Linda mentioned, which we call system pilots. And there are, in the case, I've been on the job only a couple months, so I don't have right now too much information on the system pilots we're working on, but just as an example, we have a discussion on bioeconomy and biorefinery, tillverkningsindustri, for example, steel supply. Sweden is working very innovatively in green steel, as we know, and there would be an application in the United States to apply that to a pilot demonstration here. And another area coming a little bit from my background in the digital systems area at RISE is using AI for the making more effective production in manufacturing. But again, this is sort of a work in progress, and partly why I'm here today is to reach out to you and all on this call and say that we're here in Washington and also on the West Coast and looking to collaborate with you to build pilot projects. And the last thing I'll say, given my background in R&D, I'm really interested in connecting sort of the innovation ecosystem in Sweden, the R&D at universities, but also institutes, sort of the whole TRL scale, and at companies, making R&D collaborations between the US and Sweden in the area of the green transition for industry. I don't know, how did I do
you did
on the time?
Amazingly well.
Okay.
Michael, may I just add to the system pilot,
Yeah.
because now you talked about the SIPs and the research programs, and that's going to be very important, but it could also be for the companies on the call, that if you have proposals, I mean, we are really trying to be the matchmaker between Swedish strengths and the opportunities and how to be able to contribute to that. So it's also, we are also interested for proposals from any actors, really.
Absolutely, that's so very true, Linda. So I mean, coming from RISE, we work with all of industry, work with like the SIPs with all of industry. So of course, collaboration with R&D at industry is also goes kind of without saying, really. So that follows as well.
Could I just insert the last piece of the puzzle? Would that be okay, Malin?
Yes, welcome, Karin.
Hi. Hej, jag representerar handelskamrarna i USA och jag ville bara skjuta till den pusselbiten. Vi har 20 kontor i USA och närvaro i 37 stater. Och vi parar ihop så att säga svensk uppfinning och entreprenörskap med amerikansk marknad och med amerikanskt kapital, vilket det finns mer av här såklart än i Sverige. Så välkomna att kontakta handelskamrarna också. Vi sitter vägg i vägg med GTI, Linda är min närmsta granne och ni hittar mig online. Mikael, du är också min granne. Det är jättetrevligt.
Absolut.
Tack.
Kul att du sa det, Karin.
Ja,
jättebra.
Tack.
Här, jag tänker, om ni vill dela era e-postadresser, Linda, Michael, Karin, så får ni supergärna göra det i chatten. Om ni vill öppna för direkt inkommande frågor. Så här. Det är ju super. Jag tänker att den här bron vi behöver hjälpas åt att bygga är ju en konstruktion med väldigt många komponenter. Så jag tänker alla de här aktörerna i systemet behövs ju för att få till någonting, men det verkar ju finnas ett fantastiskt fint support från Handelskammaren och från er på GTI och också från Nordic Innovation House, om vi nu tänker mottagarhjälp på den amerikanska sidan nu. Supertoppen. Och som sagt, jag tror vi i PIA och Automation Region, kanske de också RISE, vi kan ju på något vis skapa förutsättningar, hitta bra exempel som vi gärna vill hjälpa att expandera och komma till en ny marknad. Men vi är ju verkligen bara facilitatorer och möjligen stigar att gå på för att komma framåt. Så att det är bra att vi är många i det här mötet idag och att vi kan bära den kunskapen vidare också till andra sammanhang.
Men också Business Sweden, så jag tänker att det finns jättemycket stöd där borta. Så det är bara kör om ni...
Det är bara att köra loss helt enkelt.
Precis.
Ja, ni ser fram emot en massiv anstormning här med företag som vill köra loss på den amerikanska marknaden. Toppen, perfekt. Det får vi fundera på. Alla. Jag tänkte att vi skulle gå vidare till min kollega från både RISE och från PIA, Marsad, som ska prata lite om hur PIA drar nytta av samarbetet med IETS. Och efter Marsad så har vi Peter Christiansen från Liquid Wind som ska visa på ett som vi tycker är fint exempel som också har gått genom IETS-kanalerna. Och Marsad är på full gång här och delar sin presentation. Kalas.
Yeah, you see.
English, maybe?
Yes, please.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Take it away.
much. And you see my screen, I assume,
You see it fine.
correctly? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we see.
Thank you. So I'm Mersad Lavasani, and I'm a project leader in PIA program. And we also have a collaboration since 2021 with IETS. Basically considering the importance of digitalization and AI for achieving energy efficiency and deep decarbonization in industry. IETS was an international collaboration that shaped many years ago, but with more focus in the subtask in task 18 since 2018. The Swedish contribution for this international networking is performed by the Swedish Digitalization Consortium, which has been initiated by Swedish Energy Agency, and it's operated by PIA strategic program. It also serves as a national networking community as well. A little bit of a background, what is IETS TCP? Is basically part of International Energy Agencies, which is Technology Collaboration Program. There are 38 different TCPs that get their mandate from International Energy Agency, and they work with different focus areas, but IETS is the only TCP that works broadly with industry for increasing energy efficiency and reducing climate emissions. It was founded in 2005, and currently it has 10 member countries and 6 sponsors. And these member countries are usually represented by governmental authorities in ExCo level. And the projects are usually delegated and being carried out by different universities, industries, or research institutes, or in this case, a specific case, PIA program. The whole aim is basically to strengthen international collaboration for energy efficiency and reduction of greenhouse gases in industry. And the work is usually carried out in different tasks. And primarily work is through networking and exchange of experience, results, and methods, which usually are presented in workshop and conferences for dissemination. IETS at the moment has 8 different tasks, which are in different phases, some starting recently and some are pushing towards the end. Our collaboration with IETS is within task 18, which has the focus on digitalization in industry. This task has started in 2018 and shaped into 4 subtasks, with first step creating a common vocabulary and understanding for digitalization and AI in industry, and then sharing the methods and application of digital twin and AI in industry. And recently closed subtask is discussion about lesson learned and how digitalization created value by use case studies. And the latest subtask starting is the roadmap and strategic digitalization for industry impact. The Swedish consortium, having the same mission and agenda within the Sweden, especially those that has been followed up through PIA, was having again the digitalization impact for accelerating innovation, focusing on sustainability, energy efficiency, and CO2 reduction, and of course result dissemination and internationalization for connecting Swedish industry with international peers. The Swedish consortium was shaped, formed by members that covers, that is coordinated, of course, by PIA's strategic program, but covers all members that are from technology providers, industry and process industry, university and research institute, to can expand our reach to different projects relevant with impact in the agendas for energy efficiency and greenhouse gas emission. The work when it started planned for, so we started basically by analyzing PIA project portfolio and other consortium members projects ongoing, either research or within or in a higher TRL levels that were having some prototyping and pilots on, and finding best practices to be shared with the global consortium or international consortium. And this was going through with coordinating webinars for the Swedish companies and grabbing information and discussing about what are the prioritized lists. And of course, in our collaboration with international IEA, IETS, we provide the best practices that Swedish industry put forward and share it with them, and try to, and not actually trying, but also coordinating and participating in their webinar, conferences, and workshop. Among some of the projects that we have targeted and were well received in international consortium was, for example, Opera project, which used digitalization to reduce energy consumption and optimizing the district heating system with partners such as Mälar Energi or ABB, or the other one within mining sector, when for increasing efficiency and traceability, there was a solution, digital solution being developed to actually monitor and measure large volume of raw material in the process industry, with partners like as Boliden and CSO. There has been other projects that are in that has been in a earlier stage of development, like optimization of energy efficiency for ventilation in underground mines, or when some of the feasibility studies funded by PIA that are being monitored for now to be expanded and go to the higher TRL levels, that goes for steel production and changing the plan base to adaptive management program, or dynamic control and optimization for steel heat treatment. Our collaboration, of course, with IETS and with our Swedish consortium is something continuous, and the contribution usually goes with gathering the information from the Swedish consortium, bringing up new and open questions to the international peers to have some more input and effort, joint effort for higher impact. We all the time looking forward to engage industrial partners in international collaboration and continue our collaboration with the International Energy Agency, from national support group to industrial part to applied industrial research. And of course, we are always looking forward to expand our collaboration and finding more areas of collaboration with international, and in this case, looking forward with working with you in different areas. And please contact me if you have any more questions regarding this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation and for your important work to bring good Swedish examples to the international market. So there are lots of countries, lots of actors involved in the IETS platform, of course.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that we can be there as well. And also, well, include all of you who would like to be present in this conjunction and find ways out to other markets and collaborations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marisa, should you introduce maybe our next speaker?
You should have told me sooner before I mute myself.
I can do it myself.
Yeah, of course.
Liquid
Peter
Wind.
from Liquid Wind.
Peter Christiansson.
No problem, no problem.
Very welcome to
but
the meeting.
thanks anyway.
Sorry.
Great. I hope I'm sharing my presentation already. But
Looks excellent. Thank you.
Peter Christiansen from Liquid Wind. I'm the digital twin manager in this great Swedish company. I have to do this in English because I'm actually located in just north of Copenhagen. I'm a Danish citizen, so Swedish is still a little bit of a problem. That is my problem, sorry to say. But again, thanks for this opportunity to give a quick insight into the Liquid Wind digitalization approach, our digital twin journey, which have been ongoing for nearly 2 years. Let's see if I can switch. I can do that. The first few slides here is regarding our Liquid Wind and our company journey. Liquid Wind is, as said, a Swedish company developing and financing electric fuel facilities, electric fuel and in the form of e-methanol that is produced from biogenic CO2 and renewable electricity. Together with our partners, we are driving the transition to carbon neutral shipping. Oh, sorry. Here we are. Liquid Wind was established in 2017, and yeah, in 2022 we sold the first flagship 1. It's starting construction this year. The flagship 1 will deliver electric fuel to the market in 2025. And our goal in 2050 is to produce 50 million tons of electric fuels. Jump to the next slide. This is flagship 1 that was acquired by Ørsted. It's in pure good Danish, probably the first commercial driven e-methanol production facility in the world. Flagship 1 is located in Örnsköldsvik, Sweden. Right. The Liquid Wind. Sorry, was there a question? Okay, I'll just carry on. Here we are. Before Liquid Wind started our digital twin journey, it was important for ourselves asking ourselves why do we need a digital twin or digital approach in our business? And if we didn't know why, then it was impossible for us to give a clear how, and we needed a how to start the journey, to find out what aspects we will use to do our journey and our business. In Liquid Wind, we have a strong vision and high goals for expanding our business and producing multiple flagships production facilities in parallel. How can we deal with this demand? Using this digitalization. One of the solutions was the Liquid Wind digital twin, and why we started this journey. Our why was qualified into 4 domains from our strategy. Demand for representation. We will produce multiple flagships in parallel. Demand for capture learnings. Liquid Wind needs to be able to fast capture learnings and avoid making mistakes again and again, because we need to again multiply our flagships many times. Demand for increased quality. Why increased quality? Increased quality is important for Liquid Wind in the long term for our success and our cost effectiveness. Demand for cooperation. As you saw, Liquid Wind can't achieve our overall vision for reducing CO2 emissions on our own. We have support from many great partners. Our cooperation is key to realize our vision. So with the clear why, it was possible for us to make decisions on how we should initiate our aspects in our digital twin with a direct relation to the why. How we would implement methods, processes, and tools. We will create one source of truth, have a central information hub for all our processes, all of our project partners. We will structure our products, structure the products, plan processes, functions, modules, scopes, cost. This will reduce the overall risk in all aspects. And of course, have strong partners. We need to find strong partners that can levitate Liquid Wind in fast steps. Then what did we do? We didn't use Liquid Wind customized tools. We are not as unique as we think. We have a strong belief in what not to do. We don't need to invent the wheel again in applications and methods and processes. We need to have a total life cycle approach or support. Our digital twin must support the full life cycle of our flagships to be able to capture learnings from the full project life cycle. Support the cooperation for our project parties that will lead to better decision making, reduce confusions, conflicts, and increase the efficiency in our projects. The entire assets, the flagship benefits from the Liquid Wind digital twin, which begins in the scoping during the concept development process and gradually matures into the digital representation of the physical assets. As it is, the intention is always to develop the 100% in our mind digital twin by the 7th dimension in the BIM methodology. Liquid is for Liquid Wind, we are setting up a cloud-based platform covering the entire BIM approach. Liquid Wind has no application administrations, no IT developers, but is supported by external services. Predefined common structures are prerequisite to enable a seamless interaction and transfer of data between application and phases in this BIM methodology. And we have the three main structures supporting that. That is the RDSPP, the reference destination system, tag system for all our different objects in our flagships. We have a work breakdown structure covering the scopes, and we have a cost breakdown structure covering the cost. Sorry. The 1D and 2D is the data in the documents and data sheets. The VBS and RDSPP are used to organize the project data and documents. The 3D adds an additional layer to the 2D data, such as dimensional data, pipe routing, clash management. The VBS and RDSPP is used to organize these objects in the 3D level. On top of the 3D, we are adding the fourth dimension that enables the simulation of the construction activities. This is the scheduling tool, and it is used to providing scheduling information that is combined with the work breakdown structures and the scopes. On top of the scheduling, we are adding the fifth dimension, the costing. The product cost breakdown is linked to the work breakdown structure. So we have the cost and the scopes linked together, giving transparency between the scope and the cost, ensuring that the full scope is taken into consideration when we are costing our projects. On top of that, we're adding the lifecycle dimension, the automation simulation, the automation system, optimizing, doing engineering and operation of our flagship. On top of that, the seventh dimension, the analytics of the single equipment, but also of the complete plant, optimization doing during the operation increases the learning curve of the engineering operation and maintenance of our flagships. When we have that, and this is the intention, then we have the full digital twin of our flagships. Capture learnings. Our liquid wind digital twin model enables sharing of complete digital twins. Knowledge is shared in both directions. Here we have in the middle here our digital twin, our mother digital twin, and we are sharing information in both directions to our flagships. This is for consolidating knowledge and quality. This improves the accuracy and consistency of our information, leading to better decision making and increasing our efficiency. However, implementing a digital twin can be, of course, challenging. It requires coordination, buy-in from a lot of stakeholders. But as a good data management process is one of our goals, and this is one of our learnings. It can be challenging, and but in measure between benefits, then this is really beneficial. I think that was all from my side. The end of my presentation. Thanks for this opportunity to give the liquid wind approach in our digitalization. Our journey has just started. And I will also thanks the other presenters that have already inspired us with a lot of good knowledge. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Peter. I think now we don't have so much time to discuss, but have you been able to benefit from the IETS collaboration as well? Could you say something very short about?
I can say that I hope you can hear me already.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, perfect. We a lot of knowledge regarding AI and IoT have given us some thoughts of in what steps should be taken in the next in our journey forward. So we are looking at new possibilities, definitely.
It sounds great. Thank you so much, Peter. Maybe you want to stop your sharing on the screen.
I'll try.
And then
stop sharing. That is the right button. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm looking forward, of course, to hear about the continuation of your adventures on the different continents. I hope that Marsad will keep us updated as well. I think time is running for us here. So we will not open up for any discussion today, unfortunately, but I would look forward to meet those of you, of course, who are interested in continuous discussions and interested in learning more about the opportunities brought up here today. You're most welcome to reach out to any of us, of course. I don't know, Peter, if you also want to share your email in the chat, if someone wants like a direct connection with someone who actually made this journey. We should also mention that Minna also shared her email in the chat. Minna is our representative on site in Silicon Valley. Of course, you can also reach out directly to her if you want to discuss, or if you're heading west, maybe. With that, I would like to thank you so much, all of you who contributed. Peter, Marsad, Linda, and Michael, Karin, Tula, for your input in the chat as well. And of course, we really like to continue the discussion, and we see this as a start. Lovely to have all of you in the meeting today. And of course, the Swedish InTech project will continue as well, as far as we know, in collaboration between PIA and Automation Region, and we hope to reach as many as possible with our message, and also look forward to your help in doing so. And GTI, of course, I hope to see you soon again, that we can continue about the discussion with system pilot and other relevant issues.
Absolutely. Same here. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much for the meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
the continuing.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Thank you.